Andy Boskovsky, really impressed. To be able to sink the hook on Mate is ridiculous. That's something not many people could do at all. I thought Ryan Bowen got a bit hard done by. He got a couple of unfavourable calls. And Rekid, oh my god. Rekid coming in and smashing everyone. His rounds were only lasting a couple of seconds at most. So, some big news over the weekend, eh? In Australian arm wrestling, that was probably the highest level set of, I guess you wouldn't call it super matches, but highest level tournament the country potentially has ever seen. Top 8 guys. Great to see Ryan Scott getting back in it. You see Brett Coots make his way back to some of the very top ranks in the country. Andy Boskovsky, really impressed. Nearly got, he did. He sunk the hook on Mate. That's unreal. He got a stop. He got a stop, a bit open. Mate eventually able to get through, but to be able to sink the hook on Mate is ridiculous. That's something not many people could do at all. And he got another couple of really impressive wins. One on Gunter's, and what was his other win? Oh, he beat Ryan Scott. That's right. Yeah, that's another massive one. So he's really established himself firmly top 6 or 7, I believe, in the country. And Rekid, oh my god. Rekid coming in and smashing everyone. Finding a new technique in his shoulder press. I don't think we've seen that from him before. Previously, he's always favoured more of a kind of hook from memory. Like when he's versed Mario at, like, for example, ACT champs, I remember there was a lot of kind of side pressure, cupping strength. But I don't really think we've seen him set up the way he did against everyone in that comp, and it really allowed him to get through his matches relatively unscathed because his shoulder pressure was so enormous that his rounds were only lasting a couple of seconds at most. There's a bit of shenanigans in the setup you got to take into account, but in terms of time spent actually arm wrestling, I from memory, I can't remember anything lasting longer than a couple of seconds, so that definitely favoured him. I thought Ryan Bowen got a bit hard done by. He got a couple of unfavourable calls. I thought his who was it? It was one. I think it was his round with Mate. He he was kind of holding in the defensive position. Mate couldn't finish. Mate doesn't really have. I have seen him shoulder press, but against a guy like Ryan, I don't think he had that option. And I wouldn't have been surprised if Mate had actually ended up gassing out there. So, yeah, unfortunate for Ryan. Got a couple of potentially bad reffing calls. I think in general there are a few high pins in the comp, and a few. It's quite a bit of carving on a lot of the starts as well. I know that was favouring some of the guys. Like Rekid was loving that. Able to get fully supinated. Shoulders were pretty well sorted out. I liked how the shoulders was reffed. That was good. Brett took down Ryan Bowen, and that was legit. Ryan was doing everything he could to slip from memory, and Brett just held on to him and got the pin prior to Ryan being able to slip. So really, really impressive performance from Brett. Fires himself right back up into top 3 now, top 3 in the country. So that's ridiculous. So if anyone's wondering, like, where is Ryan Scott? in the ranks, for example, also Gunter's. Well, the way I've done the reffing, the way I've done the ranks, you have to pin someone who's already in the ranks to earn your rank. So even though realistically I think Ryan Scott, Gunter's Baikovs, both are top 10 in the country, they haven't pinned anyone in that list since those people got in front of them. So obviously Gunter's has beaten Mario previously, but that is over a year ago now, and since then Mario beat people that were in front of Gunter's, for example, and Gunter's hasn't beaten anyone in front of Mario, so hence why he's slowly got pushed further and further off the list. So that's why ranks in general is going to favour people who are more active. And not to say Gunter's hasn't been active, because he versus Ryan was unsuccessful there, unfortunately. So he's just a little bit unlucky with the way the cards have fallen. But in my opinion, Gunter's is definitely still top 10 in the country. Ryan Scott, from what I saw, from what he's done with Lachlan Carpenter, I think he's top 10 as well. Now, Lachlan Carpenter is, I heard through the grapevine he had a bit of a shoulder injury going into that, so I'm not going to look at his results and take too much away from them, because obviously health is going to be the biggest factor in determining how well you can do, because even if you've trained up, you've done all the work you need to, if you're injured you might only be able to put in 60% of your power. So but the guys that beat him, no slouches. I think it was it definitely was Ryan Bowen. I think it was Ryan Scott as well. Ryan Scott being the ex number one in the country, and Ryan Bowen obviously taking this prep very seriously, versing these kind of level of pullers, very, very elite in Australia. But yeah, what does this mean for Australian arm wrestling? Well, this is a super exciting time, because up until this point we haven't really had someone explode onto the scene like this in Rekid, and this is the first time potentially that there's ever been real hope for someone to challenge the number one spot. Now, I'm obviously Lachlan Adair is going to demolish anyone in the country, in my opinion, right now. But given that Rekid is, there are debates as to how long exactly he's been in the sport, but since he came to Australia, roughly 1 year, taking it more seriously, for him to beat someone like Brett Coots, who had just beaten Ryan Bowen, and Ryan Bowen is one of the most well-tested arm wrestlers internationally in Australia, that's super impressive. And that goes to show he's definitely a very high level. And he was mucking around with Lachlan Adair in the afterpool, but Lockie comes to training. He's trained himself prior to coming, so he's not taking it fully serious. You can kind of see he gripped up nice and strong to start with, felt what he needed to. It's like, okay, yep, no, I've got this, and then kind of gave a little bit of rope out, and I think Rekid then got a couple of pins after he did that. But give Rekid another couple of years, maybe not even, that could potentially become a good match. So I think there's a lot of opportunity for it coming Rekid's way. I think he definitely needs some international exposure now. I know there are some talks potentially with the likes of Core Sports, maybe getting him a match on there. I think long term, he's the same age as Reno, right? He might even be slightly younger, so obviously that shouldn't be his first match, but if he got a couple of feeler matches, see where his level's at, maybe a match with Reno for the number one junior in the world would be an incredible match. Junior as in under 21 or maybe at that point they'll be 21. But yeah, in that kind of ballpark, that would be super interesting. I'd be so keen to see that, and just really great to see a great athlete coming onto the scene in Australia. So yeah, very excited for Australia's future. Looking forward to seeing Rika's development as he progresses further through the sport, because I know when I was only 1 year in, I still had a lot of gaps. I only just developed my kind of one lane, and so he's just found that lane, apparently, his press, and I'm sure another 2, 3, 4 years he's going to become pretty well-rounded. He's got the kind of frame that he could exploit many different techniques, so it'll be awesome to see how he develops. Cheers guys, please like and sub, helps out my channel a whole lot. We're approaching the 1,000 sub mark, so I'm excited for that. So yeah, see you next time.